If you're still asking whether it's worth learning to code in 2026, you've already lost a year. That's the wrong question. And the people asking it are the same people who will be asking it in 2027, while everyone who stopped asking is getting paid 200K plus to build with AI. I'm a senior AI engineer who got headhunted by Apple, Meta, Netflix, and Amazon without applying to any of them. And in this video, I'm going to show you what coding in 2026 actually looks like, why learn to code is dead, and what's quietly replacing it before most developers even notice. If you sit this one out, you'll be competing for the same shrinking pool of jobs as every other backend dev who waited too long. So pay attention, because the window on this is smaller than you think. The question itself is the trap. Most people are asking, is coding still worth it, are stuck because they're listening to two camps who are both wrong. The doomers saying AI killing, basically AI is one that killed coding, and the gurus still selling 2020 era roadmaps. What they're feeling every week, a new headline says basically devs are getting laid off. And if you go on like LinkedIn, you see that all the time. You always see these headlines of this new company laid off a whole bunch of their dev team. And then every week there's a new tool that says no coding needed. And their LinkedIn's full of people who pivoted last year already earning more than them. And nobody's telling them what actually to do about it. The concept learning to code in 2026 is actually the wrong frame. The question isn't if you should learn, it's what you should learn and who you want to become after you learn this. The real shift, the market doesn't pay for code anymore. AI can do that pretty well. So coding itself is not the skill. It pays for engineers who could use code plus AI to solve problems companies actually have. That's a different job. It's a different skill set and a different salary band. Able to put all that together and match the code to fit a business need, to basically solve a business problem. I want to give an example of my specific story, my case. I came from a non-traditional path. If you know, my background was in visual effects, computer graphics, and I had to solve some problems in my actual work environment that my initial skill set did not cover. So I had to learn web development in about 3 to 4 months. And I would say I learned that using what I call just-in-time learning. Basically, what I call just-in-time learning is that you have a problem in front of you and you have to learn what you need to solve that problem instead of trying to go down rabbit holes and try to solve everything. Then, after I solved that, the reason why I had to learn web development, because that is basically the front end and the back end. That was the main thread that everybody would use to interface with. But now in the back end, to actually calculate things, the algorithms we use that I found in papers and that were being passed around at the time to solve the problem was using AI. And I had to learn AI at the time. So then AI took another 3 to 4 months to understand it so I could actually implement what was there. And at the end of that, I ended up with patents. I had FANG recruiters reach out to me without me even applying, and starting salary of 227K. And the point of this isn't the resume. It's the fact that this happened because it's really important because of how AI changed the rules, not in spite of it. Same shift is open right now because people and companies are realizing, hey, AI can rewrite the rule set and improve our productivity, our output, but we need people who know how to use it. So there's a great opportunity right now. This is where most of the runtime sits. It has 4 parts. And part one, we want to know what's actually dying in 2026. First of all, there's junior CRUD role. So that's create, read, update, delete, create data, read data, update data, delete data, comment in database work. Basic front end, learn to code, bootcamp tracks aimed at entry level web dev jobs. And this is exactly what AI is generally eating because it's good at doing these things. The other thing is lead code grinding because you're basically learning how to become a general software engineer role with a no-name company. And basically your return on investment on this is collapsing and is not really coming back. Again, all these things that you're grinding for, AI can do pretty well. But what's quietly exploding right now, AI engineering roles. What does that mean? Building, fine tuning, deploying, integrating AI systems into real products. These roles are what's getting 200K plus jobs, and there aren't enough people to fill them because a lot of people don't know how to do it. And the reason for this gap is because most existing devs haven't pivoted yet. And most new grads coming out of a program don't reach, they don't teach the tech stack of this. And if you don't believe me, you could go on LinkedIn right now and you'll see that a lot of job postings, you'll see a lot of people saying there's a lot of layoffs for generalists, for software engineer roles. But there's these new roles, as especially since like January 2026, that ain't it will have the name AI in them, like innovation lead, innovation AI, or AI architect, or it's very similar roles that there were before that has AI in the name. So who has the unfair advantage? Basically, mid-career technical professional does. And I found this firsthand. The people that I've worked with that are back-end devs, data analysts, DevOps engineers, anyone who actually understands how system works, how data moves, how production software actually works, have an advantage of picking up AI and then integrate it into their actual workflow. That is actually their superpower. And I can say this from experience because I work with a local college, and every semester they send me a cohort for their internship to do their final project to graduate. So I give them real world projects to work on so they can learn how to integrate and work with real software, and especially now to learn AI. And I found that it's a lot harder for them to pick up the information straight out of school. Basically, here, someone who's basically straight out of school, fresh grad out of school, it's hard for them to understand because they're still trying to grasp how coding even works. They're still making very basic mistakes of like forgetting a semicolon or indenting, things like that. Whereas when I work on actual contracts or work on actual projects in within companies and implement some AI strategies, working directly with backend devs and data analysts and DevOps engineers, once you implement the strategy, they understand it and they can take it up on their own, and they realize they can actually do AI themselves. My own experience, a backend dev who learns AI in 3 to 4 months is way more valuable than a fresh grad with a computer science degree because they already speak the language, they already know the 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 pain points of a business, what the definition of success is, how to actually implement in the real world a real situation is not always textbook perfect. So, part four, what to actually learn in 2026, I would say the stack. And here's the fast version of it: coding fundamentals. And I would say Python first, not 14 languages. Yes, you can do AI, for example, in many other languages, but Python is kind of the de facto one that you learn first. The AI, ML, the artificial intelligence, machine learning tech stack, modern frameworks, the new stuff, like what are the new frameworks using RAG, what are agentic workflows and such, LLMs, things, and using other frameworks like LangChain, and also PyTorch as well. If you're going to use any model that you have to interface with, or you're going to use any APIs, you should learn at least those. These are kind of the common ones. And also a portfolio that can proves that you could ship a final product. And once you have all those things, this is the part a lot of people miss, is that just because you have that, if nobody knows about you, you can't actually move out. And people apply, or people reach out to you for job offers. So you have to have like a job hunt strategy that actually gets you into the rooms where these offers live. And the thing is about this is that the order actually matters. Most people learn this backwards. They go deep into theory before they ship anything. And that's why it takes 2 years and they still can't get hired. One thing I would like to say is that it's not you, it's the approach. You might be saying to yourself, well, I've tried learning before and it didn't work. Well, I would definitely say that that's because you were learning the wrong thing in the wrong order. Things how it was done before, even 10 years ago or a few years ago, is not how it's done now. In my own experience, my background is not specifically from AI. When I started using it, I had to use it to solve a certain problem. And I learned AI just in time, meaning just in time learning, learn when I needed to go, what I needed to learn to move to the next step in solving my real world problem. And just in time learning beats trying to learn everything. Because at the end of the day, when people want to see the results, they think, oh, it's working. Okay, I know you know what you're doing. And they'll listen to you, as opposed you could spit off a lot of theory and sound like you know what you're doing, but you can't show any real tangible results. The reason it didn't work isn't you, it's the path you were on. And the other thing you might be asking is, isn't AI going to replace AI engineers too? Well, the people building and deploying AI are the last ones it will replace, not the first. You want to be on the side of the tool, not the side of getting automated. And I could say this because I'm still in contact with a lot of people I worked with on other projects at companies, and they're telling me about how a lot of the roles, or a lot of the tools and things that were put in place, they wanted to use AI, and they thought they could start replacing people and they start shifting software engineers around. And now they're realizing, oh, we need people who actually know how to use the AI and interpret that and give us to make sure an audit to make sure everything's working well. So everything would be put in place. So in fact, they're actually requesting more people, more AI engineers who actually understand that and interpret that to make sure everything's running smoothly. I've seen this firsthand. I see where this is actually going right now. Uh, Right now, I see mid-career devs going from 90K to 120K to a 200K role in under a year. Actually, I've seen it in under 3 months. I've seen it, well, how it actually happened. It was on a specific project where the turnaround from concept to completion had a certain time frame, and they needed to speed that up just because they had a lot more volume and they couldn't really hire more staff. One person, one mid-career dev, started exploring, got permission to start exploring more AI frameworks and start putting them together and actually made a pipeline that greatly increased that output. And I saw him now took on a new role. They created a new role with him for him, and now he's 200K plus. And this is not the only isolated case. This is happening right now. What it basically comes down to that 2026, everyone is looking, every company wants to use AI. They don't know exactly what that means, but anyone who demonstrates that they can actually perform these types of tasks are the ones are getting all the opportunities. So people moving in 2026 are the ones are getting and actually profiting from this opportunity. And you want to get in before it saturates, because by 2027, the one who waited are the ones who's going to be walking into a more crowded space because there's so many other people that are doing it are caught up by now. And by then, they're going to be a little more picky and they're going to ask for more credential and start asking for certain code and things like that and like do certain tests. Whereas right now is like, oh, you know how to do it? Here's a job, just solve the problem. If you want the exact 6-step path I used and that I now teach mid-career devs to make this transition, the link is in the description. It's the same system that's getting people offers in the 200K range.